All right, we are continuing our pop-up podcast series at the Imagine AI Live conference in Las Vegas, and I've got a special guest today. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on?
Sure. My name's Adam Marturana, and I work for a company called AADM, which is a company that creates e-learning using AI. So what we like to say is that we use AI to inspire people. Yeah, I've been doing this, 30 years now. Worked for most of the major pharmaceutical companies, a lot of the aircraft manufacturers, and a lot of the financial firms as well. Typically, when we're brought in, it's to do high-end training for high stakes, right? So things where the FDA might come in and inspect your training, or
Uh-huh.
FCC.
And so currently you're in the e-learning space,
Yes,
and so you're applying AI to e-learning.
exactly. Yeah.
And what does that look like so your company comes in to big e-learning companies and tries to streamline things?
Oh no, we actually go into the corporations themselves.
Okay.
Well, let's say it's a large pharmaceutical company. We recently did a vaccine manufacturer. And we'll go in and look at where their areas are deficient as far as the training is concerned,
Okay.
and then create that training using AI.
Oh, okay.
So in the past, you would have teams of instructional designers, graphic artists, those kind of things creating the e-learning.
Mhm.
What I've been able to do is minimize that team and have the AI do a lot of the creative piece.
Mhm.
And then working with a SME or subject matter expert within the
Mhm.
corporation, ensuring that the training is accurate and correct.
Okay, so e-learning from the company's perspective of onboarding and things like that?
Yeah, like uh, onboarding is one of the things. It could be anything from sales training to sexual harassment,
Mhm.
or even scientific type things. For example, how a vaccine might work,
Mhm.
methods of action, those kind of things. Really, anything you can think of, we'll train on it.
And so how has AI changed the process in which you operate?
Oh, it's made things so much faster and so much easier. From a standpoint of what used to take an average, say, 20-minute e-learning course for standard, say, grade 10 reading level, would take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, which seems fast when you were thinking about it.
Mhm.
When we first started doing this, we were hand coding everything, right? Which used to take about a year to
Yeah.
do it. So we got it down to 3 to 6 months with some tools. Articulate Storyline is a particular one that people like to use. Now with AI, I can take that process and build it in a week. And
Wow.
even that's given me, 2 days for QA,
Wait, so from 3 to 6 months
a week.
to a week.
Yeah. So recently I created a course that's probably about 20 minutes long for a simple question the relative of my child had about why bugs are attracted to light. And, if had they asked me that question 20 years ago, I never even occurred to me to create an e-learning.
Yeah.
So I spent 3 months on that, right?
Yeah.
I said, you know what, kids, let's do this. And I wrote it in a weekend in a full e-learning that completely goes through and teaches how, why bugs are attracted to light,
Wow.
and put it up online. And it was like nothing. And it just kind of really illustrated to me how much this technology has really moved things forward. And what I do also is I use a lot of the older protocols. So there's a protocol called SCORM, which the Navy developed some 30 years ago.
Mhm.
And it's perfect still to this day. I mean, it has all the elements that you need to report on an e-learning, right? The score they got, where they are bookmarked, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so what you're able to do is take the EI content and marry it with the older protocols. And now all of a sudden I've got an e-learning that'll work on, systems that were built 30 years ago flawlessly.
So, okay, I've got two lines of thought I want to go on. So, you said the Navy SEAL Storm protocol. What is that?
Well, it's a packaging and communications protocol, right? So what it does is it takes, when you have e-learning, right?
Yeah.
It'll consist of HTML files, JPEGs,
Yeah.
movies. So the first part of that protocol is packaging. And for that, all it uses is zip. It takes all the files and zips
Okay.
them into what they call a SCORM package.
Okay.
The next part of the protocol is communications, right? So this is how the course communicates with your learning management system.
Uh-huh.
So you go on, it'll ask you your name, and that gets part of the protocol. It'll mark where you are in the course. That's part of the protocol. If there's assessments, what you did is scored in the assessments.
Yeah.
And all of that is built into that protocol. So
Okay.
that packaging and communications protocol make it so that you can create e-learning that's going to work on multiple learning management systems.
Okay.
In fact, if someone comes to you today and tells you they want to build you a training course, but they're not going to use SCORM, they're going to use SCORM 9.6 or some crazy version,
Yeah.
tell them to go away, because there's really no reason to. That protocol is essentially everything you need.
Uh-huh.
And what happens when I see people go away from that protocol and try to create their own, all of a sudden it's working on 2 LMSs out of 10, right? Now all of a sudden I'm able to handle 12 gigabytes of data in my e-learning course. God knows why you would want to do that. But if you do have that concern, then you create your own protocol specific to that module. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel of communications piece.
And so can you explain the mode of the learning? So it's e-learning. What do you explain for your daughters, like why are bugs attracted to light? So what is she going through as she learns that process?
Well, the first thing in this case is there's got to be a curiosity for it. And in that case there was. In work, it's often, I have to get this done for work.
Yeah.
Right. So what is that motivation? So what you try to do is latch onto that first. Right?
Yeah.
And you say, hey, welcome to, XYZ learning.
This is a website.
No, typically e-learnings it's interesting. Most LMSs do act as a hosting for websites. So yeah, technically it is a website.
Okay.
But it's not like the interface is not a web interface.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's more of like a full screen. All of a sudden I'm in this app and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's one of the things that I love about e-learning is that, you can create any kind of interface you want to, as long as it's easy for people to use. So yeah, so that's the kind of thing that we put together. But it's interesting because I was having a discussion with your brother last night. He happened to be sitting next to me playing poker. That was fantastic, by the way. This whole conference is great. Just having a blast.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
But we started talking about, how does AI give back, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's really important, right? Because everything I hear is how are we going to make AI smarter? And how are we going to make it faster? And that's all great. But the question is, how do we make it give back, right? If we're feeding these AI models, what's it giving back to us? And so the discussion that I had with him is that I think that AI can act almost as like the great equalizer, right? They used to say the gun was the great equalizer for the weak against the strong, right? AI is the great equalizer for the ignorant against the overly educated. It's the same kind of thing. And so what I said to him is, what we need to do is create something that empowers people to go out and learn what they don't know. And the thing is, people don't know what they don't know because they don't know it. Yeah. But if they had an AI that was there that was saying, hey, you missed that. Next time, if you take a look at this course or look at this website, that might help you next time as you're going forward. And, I realized that the technology for that is there already. We have it, right? Google owns AdSense, right? So AdSense is the kind of thing that senses what you do on the internet, follows everything, learns about you, figures out what the heck you're going to buy before you even know you want to buy it. Yeah. Right? So why don't we create EdSense? Same kind of thing, follows you around, figures out what's motivating you, figures out, why you might be a little ignorant in a certain area or need more training in a certain area, and provides that to you in real time as you're doing your task or whatever. I like to call it just-in-time training, right? Mm-hmm. So AI can create that EdSense. And the two of us were, kind of knocking that idea back and forth around a lot. And it is something that I think I'd really like to pursue and work further on that.
Yeah, I wonder, where do you think this is all going? It's changing so fast. I'm sure how you approach e-learning is changing. Do you have any predictions for the future?
Wow. Yes. I see AI bringing us a lot, again, equal, right? If everybody has, if God forbid Elon gets his way, a chip in their brain that gives them all the information in the world, everybody's just as smart as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it brings us to a standpoint where we really are equal. And at that point, what makes you special is how you treat others and your ability to imagine, right? That's what's going to make people special in the future, what's going to make them stand out. No longer is it going to be, I'm going to be the king, the ruler, or whatever, because I, studied this subject more than you, or whatever. Now it really comes down to your worth in the society, in the community, and people recognize that right away.
Yeah.
And so that's my positive view of it, and where I really, really hope it goes. The other part is it could go, you see the people that are, in control today being scared, right? Let's say you're a high-powered attorney, and all of a sudden this AI can, build your cases faster than you might be. You might be want to go to Congress and say, "Hey, let's slow down AI because it's going to take over the world." Right? In the meantime, you're thinking, "Hey, this darn thing does my job better than me." So I think we have to watch out for that fear, because it really does. It's no longer like when computers first came out and robots first came out. The regular kind of guy on the ground and the blue collar guys were scared, right? This is going to take my job. AI is white collar. It's top end. And that fear is there. And we need to make sure that that fear doesn't slow down or hurt the future, right? When they tell you they need to throttle your AI, you really need to look at what their motivation
It's all
is.
like a comparative advantage too, where it's like we've got all these amazing LLM and AI models in America right now. And if we were to regulate that and like slow that down, I mean, every other country is trying to build their own and like catch up. And I mean, every country's, it's almost like a nuclear arms race, but with AI.
Yeah, you cannot put the genie back in the bottle.
No.
So all you can do is, race forward. And again, with that thought in mind that this is for us, right? If AI isn't giving back, what's the point? And if you have that in the back of your mind and make that the goal of the AI, hey, you're here to benefit humanity. At that point, sure, there's going to be a lot of bad players. There is in everything. Yeah. But you can't let the bad players dictate your future,
you got to
right?
let the good players outweigh any of those bad actors and push forward and get the messaging right and let the benefits be apparent and show themselves, and people will see that this is a force for good. I think so.
That's right.
And the equalizer, I mean, that's a big theme I've been hearing a lot in these conversations, is how AI is an equalizer, and it's gonna any of the like educational gaps, it's got the potential to level all that and lift the mean education up across the board.
Yeah.
If we can use it right and at a very low cost. So
that's really true. And that's, what I'm trying to do now is really bring that to corporations and say, you know what I used to charge you 60, 70 grand for? And, it would take 3 or 4 months. Now I'm going to charge you 1/10 that, and I'm going to do it in a week. Right? Yeah. And not only that, but you don't have to worry so much that we get it exactly perfect.
And we can iterate it later. Yeah.
It only took a week.
Yeah.
And so in the future, if you want to change your process that we're training on, the fact that you have to think the training doesn't necessarily have to be part of your future plans.
No, and right? it can course correct. You can
Makes
change
it easier to course correct.
How did you hear about Imagine AI Live?
I think I Googled AI conferences in Vegas.
Okay, cool. Nice. I'm glad those Google AdWords paid off for you.
Yeah, worked
and
well.
If we have one next year, will you come again?
Absolutely. I'd like that. And I think next year, hopefully I'll have something where I can be a speaker.
Yeah.
And try to make EdSense more of a reality.
Oh, EdSense. I love it. I love what you're doing. It's amazing to hear. That's something that used to take you 6 months, now takes you a week or two, and you can do more good for people. So that's great.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, thank you so much for being on,
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.